In regards to when you were approached from BigCommerce, in my mind, I thought that with all the things that you have done and all the things you have proved to the industry that you're capable of, that the founders of BigCommerce would approach to you. But what you said is that it was recruiting. The recruiting team approached to you. Now there were like multiple candidates for that spot at that time. Like you were competing with others. Ah, okay. So
There was one other good candidate. They said a very different profile from mine,
yeah,
and located in San Francisco, not Austin. But we had a big office in San Francisco, so it kind of came down to the two of us. And there were two big differences, three big differences between me and the other candidate. One is I had 10 times more e-commerce experience than that person. Two was we had a board member who had worked with me before and could personally vouch for me. But the big one was the board and the management team knew they needed a new strategy, because even though BigCommerce in 2015 had been quite successful and in 6 years grown from non-existent to the second biggest SaaS platform for small businesses in the world, number one was Shopify. Shopify had a 5-year head start. They had started in 2004. They had already IPO'd by the time that they were interviewing me. They were growing like a rocket ship, and we had no chance of, we weren't anywhere close to big enough to IPO then. We couldn't compete with their buzz and their traction, and they didn't know what to do. It's like, what do we do? Do we keep doing what we're doing, focused on SMBs? Do we go down market with a freemium model and compete against the GoDaddies and the WooCommerces of the world, or do we go up market? And they just didn't know. And I actually had what to me was a completely brain dead obvious thing that we needed to do, that the world needed us to do, I said, look, it's 2015. The biggest platform in the world in 2015 by far was Magento, far bigger than Shopify. It was 20% share, small, medium, and large, B2C, B2B, all around the world. It was the 800-pound gorilla.
yeah.
And I said, I know Magento really well because of that history. And I said, it's just a crime against business humanity that in the year 2015, the e-commerce industry has not given mid-market and enterprise customers a great SaaS alternative to owned, licensed, on-premise software. Whether it's open source like Magento or packaged software, almost no businesses want to have to buy, license, manage, secure, bug fix, version, integrate, host their own software. Almost no businesses, retail, brands, manufacturers, they don't want to do that. That's not what they're in business to do. It's expensive, it's hard, and you inevitably can't keep up. And yet, if you're mid-market or a large enterprise, all your top choices are that. It's Magento, IBM WebSphere, Oracle ATG, SAP Hybris. I mean, yes, there was Demandware, also at the very high end of the market, but let's just start with mid-market, because Demandware wasn't serving the mid-market, and neither were the SaaS platforms. The SaaS platforms like us and Shopify were all focused on SMBs. And I said, we have to expand up into the mid-market. That doesn't mean we abandon SMBs. It's just classic disruptive innovation. All disruptive innovation, textbook Clay Christensen, starts at the low end of the market with something cheaper, faster, and easier to use. That's what we had done. That's what some of the other SaaS platforms had done for SMBs. But you become disruptive when you then add functionality and add flexibility and performance, and you move up to the mid-market and say, I can serve you now too. I don't have 100% of the functionality of the market leader Magento, but I have the 80 or 90% that you need at a far lower cost and in our case, a far cheaper business model, because running us in SaaS was so much cheaper than what it took to implement and manage Magento or any other on-premise software. So that was the thesis. I came in and I told the board in every interview, if you make me CEO, day one, I'm not going to waste 3 seconds interviewing the market, interviewing customers, interviewing partners. Day one, I come in and announce our target is no longer Shopify and competing against Shopify and the other SaaS platforms for SMBs. We're going to go create the first world-class SaaS platform for the mid-market. And then once we've done that, we're going to extend up into large enterprise, and we'll take on Demandware. And remember, I had a board member who was the founding investor in both companies. He's on both boards, and he's like, you can't compete with Demandware. They're way too upmarket for you. And I said, I promise you, give me 3 years, and we'll be taking customers away from them.